How's it, guys? Anton here from Adventure Africa, and we're back at Kungwini again. This time with the new GWM P500. This is the 2.4 Super Luxury, and with me, I've got my mate back, Tony.
back from Botswana.
Back from Botswana.
Yeah.
I heard you had a rocking time there.
As Botswana always is great, but I came back with with some memory banks filled up.
Well, Tony, we're here with the P500. Now, this is the 2.4. It's the middle one. You get the luxury, then you get the super luxury, which is the 2.4s, and then you get the ultra luxury, which is the hybrid electric vehicle. That's the one you drove actually at Festival of Motoring.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time behind the wheel of that car, the HEV. Yeah.
And you did quite a bit of 4x4ing in the 3 days that you were there.
Yeah.
So you've got a nice idea of how this, if we're going to compare it, we'll be able to compare it fairly between the hybrid and
What this will offer.
the internal combustion engine. Just a quick couple of figures. This one has got the 2.4 diesel motor in. It's got 135 kilowatts. I think it's 380 newton meters of
yes.
torque. This is a 2.5 ton vehicle.
It's quite heavy.
It's very heavy and it's very long. It's over 5.4 meters long.
Not to mention the width of the car is also close to 2 meters.
Yeah, I think it's just a couple of millimeters below 2 meters.
Yeah.
So it's a huge vehicle.
Yeah, massive.
But the interior is what's the impressive side of this vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got massaging seats, we've got heated and ventilated seats. There's a huge 14.7 inch screen inside.
Massive screen, eh?
Yeah, there's a lot of space inside this vehicle.
And the features that the car offers is it's amazing. It's as a pickup, if we want to use those words again. So all the items in the car, all the features, the electric seats, the leather seats, the massaging seats, the lane assist, the safety equipment on it, the lane assist, the adaptive cruise control, they're all there.
Yeah, but again, it's a Chinese vehicle, and their quality is good, but we still don't know the longevity of these vehicles. And that's the big thing that is still hanging over its head. It still needs to prove itself.
Yeah, they talk about the Chinese, sometimes we're afraid of it and sometimes it's good. So the Chinese will build two items. One will be extreme high quality and the other one will be the typical, don't touch the thing.
But yeah, so this one is sitting on 18-inch rims. It's got 265/60, but it literally comes out with proper highway terrains, which is a weird thing for me because this is a bucket. It needs to be at least like a semi all-terrain in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely if we're going to start using the car for what it's intended or what our intentions are, tires would be an option of changing.
But still, proper proper transfer case.
Brilliant.
Rear diffs, front diffs.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and you've got a couple of terrain selections that you can pick off. I think there's mud, sand, and rock.
The usual multi-terrain, yes.
And then obviously there's a sport and an eco mode, but which is actually impressive considering this is a 2.5 ton vehicle. This vehicle is giving us just under 10.5 liters per 100 k's, which, considering the weight, is not bad for a 2.4 diesel motor.
Yeah, roughly quite good, considering, because if you look at all the competitors, we're all in the same market. So having the length of this car, the weight of the car, the width, it's a heavy car, and for a smaller engine, if you want to use those words, what's it, 10.5 liters?
It's not bad.
Not shabby.
But it's got quirky things as well, like that tailgate that goes down and opens like a barn door. I mean, we had a look, and our thing is that if we're going to put a canopy on it, it's going to be a hell of a mission to get that thing dust proof.
Absolutely, it's going to be a nightmare. I don't know if they've built a canopy yet, but if they do, those guys are going to have to come up with something really smart to make it dust proof.
And there's that lip in the back of the cab as well that comes out about, I think, 2 to 3 inches, which you're going to have to kind of design into your canopy.
Yeah, you can't put it. It's exactly because it protrudes
Yeah.
way past the pickup area. So if you put a canopy on it, it's not gonna slip past. So the canopy is gonna have to have a slot in it or a dip in it, or that has to be removed. So some modifications, some designing has to be put into this, and thought have to be put into putting a canopy on this car.
So you drove the HEV at Festival of Motoring.
Yes.
How was that for you on the 4x4 track?
Look, I love the car. The car is, and the performance is incredible. Obviously, when we talk about a long wheelbase, we always have those negatives of ramp over angles. So I expect much the same in this car. Having that length, I think that's where our biggest problem will be. But the performance of what the car did, the traction control, the hill descent control, everything just worked absolutely perfectly.
Oh, for you guys that's wondering, he's just wearing his kit, bragging about the fact that he was one of the instructors at Festival of Motoring for GWM.
Yes.
The other thing is the price. I mean, it comes in, I think the lowest one is 789,900. That's for the normal 2.4 luxury. Then this one is, I think, 899,900, and the HEV
It's a bar.
is a bar. It's 999,900, and if you add your dealer fees and your licensing, it's over a bar.
Yeah. Which, once again, if you look at the competition, everybody is starting to push up into that marketplace. But if you're going to talk about that type of pricing and you're buying a GWM or a well-known brand, you got to weigh it up like that and see.
The problem, and we've spoken about this earlier, is the fact that when you buy a hybrid electric vehicle, you are doing this here in South Africa for fuel consumption. I mean, I'm not going to buy it because I'm a tree hugger. And like you said earlier, you're not going to buy it because you hope this tree is going to grow faster now.
No.
You're doing it for fuel consumption.
Absolutely,
and unfortunately, on the HEV, although they are saying that the vehicle should be doing about, or they're claiming a 9.8 liters per 100 kilometer fuel consumption. When we drove it on the launch, we were doing, I would say, around 13 liters per 100 Ks.
Yeah.
We never really saw it going below 12.
Yeah. Look, it's good, but it's not impressive.
No, it's not what you expect from a hybrid.
No.
I mean, I'm buying hybrid for better fuel consumption.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not a tree hugger, and that's not why I buy hybrid.
Yeah, I want fuel.
I want better fuel consumption.
Saving, yeah.
But I've also heard that in the States, there's a certain brand that we've tested here. They come out in a hybrid in the States, and their fuel consumption is also not that great. So is it a fact that it's a hybrid and a big vehicle like this that you're actually buying it more for the power? Because the hybrid has got, I think it's 258 kilowatts. It's a 75 kilowatt electric motor and 180 odd or 185 something 2-liter turbo petrol engine, and combined they do 250 something kilowatts and 600 and something ridiculous newton meters of torque.
Yeah, the torque and the performance figures are absolutely amazing. I mean, the acceleration on that car is phenomenal. Right, so we're sitting now in the P500, incredibly comfortable car, very, very nice to drive. I love the long wheelbase. However, we're obviously going to have problems having the long wheelbase because we know that ramp over angles is always an issue. When I look at the buttons here to put it into high and low range, it's a very, very simple matter. It's just make sure that obviously the car once again is in neutral. It's a click of the 4 low and it demonstrates there it's gone into 4 low, and that's as simple as that. Now we need to choose gears and move forward. We have the facility obviously of the rear diff lock, which can be engaged, as well as a front diff lock. You'll notice obviously using these features the car has to be stationary before engaging them. The only concern I have, and it's very, very simple to use, the only concern I have is if I put my handbag down here, I'm going to be pushing buttons all the time. Or when my massive Yorkie comes running over the seat and he's going to be walking and talking to Dad, I have all sorts of buttons being engaged and switched on and off. I even got heated seats or cooled seats, so I'll never know what's happening if I've got the damn dog in the car. However, saying that, it is still very, very simple to engage. So I've gone into neutral, I've gone into low range mode, wait for it to click in, and of course once again we sit with electronic handbrake. Positive, negatives, I'm not so sure. Engaging the handbrake on, I know electronic handbrakes don't like mud, so time will tell. We'll have to see how that works out. It's just
So you can do a clear chassis.
or we can make it a full rear. What's nice is even if the door is open, it tells you the door is open, shows me my brake lights are on. See the brake lights gets demonstrated on the screen as well.
You're really enjoying this.
I love this car. I really got a soft spot for it. I have many concerns though. And obviously there's a bit of the styling, which is probably a Chinese thing, which one has to live with, but I really do like the car.
Like the huge logos.
Well, the chrome and the huge logos put me off. That's it. I don't know why they insist in putting the whole grille with its name. We know what it is.
I'm going to do some water now.
Right, so little water crossing to do.
I believe it's got a wading depth of about 700 millimeters. So Tony, we've taken it now through the obstacle course, and our first problem that we had, as we thought we were going to have, is that breakover angle. So the first one is just a small hump, but it's got quite of a tight.
Yeah, it's very tight.
So you had to pick a better line for it. It wasn't an issue, but you had to pick a better line.
So obviously, like you said, yes, that is a concern. But then with all respect, it's a long wheelbase vehicle, so we know that. So with a bit of guidance, it's available. Obviously the side steps would be a disaster for us. So probably side step removal with a bit of rock sliders or something like that would be the answer if we're going to start using the car in a more off-road condition.
Well, and then the second incline and breakover that we did, you picked a different line, which at the end when I saw it, I thought, oh goodness, because on the right hand side it was quite a steep decline, which I didn't realize when I told you come to the right. Yes, they scraped, but I have to say they were not bending while you were scraping. So they're kind of tough.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we expected it. We knew it was going to happen. But in the same token, I'm relatively impressed that the car actually got over without damaging it in the sense of bending them or really, really hanging up on them. They touched, they scraped a bit, but that's about it.
We also had a chat off camera about the departure angle, and when you went off or left that second obstacle, I was wondering if you're going to be touching in the rear, but there was about an inch and a half of clearance still left there.
Once again, very impressive. Again, if you look at the overhang of this car, it does seem to be on the negative side of things. However, going up that little incline that we've just done, didn't even come close to touching the ground. So once again, rather impressed.
And then with the ruts, you forgot to put it in diff lock.
I never forget to put it in diff lock.
You just misplaced it for a second.
I always want to see what traction control does.
And what do you think?
So I know what diff lock does. I know diff lock works like it should work. So if I use traction control, it gives me a great impression of what I'm to expect with the car when I'm off-roading. Now, obviously, driving many different vehicles through here, we know what some are good at, some are bad at, some are really great. I'm going to compliment this car once again. The traction control in this car is immaculate. It is instant.
Well, this one sits with a ground clearance. I think it's 224 millimeters, which is it's a little bit low still.
Yeah.
But as we said, as we've spoken also off camera, maybe you put on a 265 70 R18 on this. It's going to give you that extra 10 millimeters of ground clearance, and then none of these will be problems.
It'll be a massive improvement
Because
if we could do that.
on
yes.
those obstacles, I did see you trying to find a line to just make sure that they don't scrape.
Yes. Yeah, obviously, when you go through what they call the crossover articulation, the drop-offs are rather hectic. So in the event of the car falling, it's going to smash onto the side steps, and that's going to damage them. So choosing the line, and that's one of the rules in off-roading, is choose your line. So yeah, we made it a little bit easier in the sense of not having to scrape the side steps. However, we've still got wheels hanging in the air, which meant the traction control would work front and rear to get the car to move forward.
So pretty decent 4x4 system in the vehicle.
Very impressive. Obviously, we say there's a lot of little quirks and nicks and things that we're not. I'm not comfortable with the gear selection process. The from park to reverse to neutral to manual mode. Just a slight touch of it, and then of course you want to go to park, you got to press a button to put it into park. So I suppose it's something, habit forming. You'll get used to it, but it's not a comfortable feeling to start off with. You got to really get used to working it.
So Tony, this thing's got a lot of quirks. I mean, that tailgate to start off with. I mean, you have to press the button, hold it in and release, and that releases the tailgate normally. Then you can close it again, and then you have to press it twice, and then it opens the left-hand side, and then you can open the right-hand side.
Yeah.
That's a quirky thing, and I don't know, is it a gimmick? Is it something that we need?
Please be patient. This could take a long time. In theory, 2 presses of the button should open the tailgate. So as we spoke about, it allows me now to stand closer and lean in. Yeah, do we need it? To open the second one, it's just a little handle clip on the side there and a matter of opening. So that's the brilliant part about it. We've got this big wide tailgate opening now. In the other instance, for a longer load, in theory, this is how it should work. Press once, press twice, hold it. And no, it doesn't work.
Press once.
It does have tailgate stiffness though, to lower the tailgate slowly. So now, yeah, of course, we can put longer loads in. Well, the whole theory behind the tailgate splitting open like that, without falling down like we commonly know it, is so that you can now supposedly stand closer to the pickup area and get your goodies or pack it in again. But yes, you're right. The method, the operation of opening and closing it's chaos.
But okay, you say now you're standing closer to the tailgate, but isn't this again a question of this is something that we need, but that we never knew that we needed? Because
Yeah.
when we grew up, I mean, you'll open the tailgate, you'll just put it, I mean, I can stretch my hand, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I'll still get the stuff into the bin.
Yeah.
So is it something that we never knew we needed?
Yeah, I don't think it's a feature that would change my mind in sense of, oh, must buy this car. That wouldn't be my buying decision. So if the car had it or didn't have it, it wouldn't be a problem in my life. But yes, I think we're going to have some issues with it, even though it's a great system in the sense of the way it works. But I think we're going to have some issues with it.
Yeah, as we said, I think if we put it on a canopy, it's going to be a bitch to dust proof that
Absolutely,
that bin.
Yeah, it's going to be a major problem.
And then the other quirky thing is that little cubby sliding cupboard thing behind the rear door. I mean, what the hell are we going to put in there?
Well, I know if I lived in Colombia, I know what I'd put in there, but yes, you're right. I don't know what we're going to put in there. They say there's a little medical kit, but I mean, what are you going to put a set of Bernardos in, and that's about it?
I think there's space for like an EP pen or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got Velcro and everything. Salt and pepper, maybe. Salt's on the one side, pepper on the other side.
To be honest, I actually don't really know what it was originally intended for. I think the HEV's got a different purpose. Oh, there's a light. That's correct. In the HEV, there's lights. So
No, No,
supposedly that was what it's
the
supposed to be.
HEV that I drove also had
Yeah.
that little
But it
sliding
was
speed.
supposed to be lights.
Okay, so lights,
Yeah.
great. The other thing that is weird for me is the fact that there's no volume control in the center
yeah.
of this vehicle. I mean, if I'm driving and my wife's driving with me, she's going to keep on telling me, put it louder, put it softer, put it louder, put it softer, because you literally have to go into one of the setting screens to be able to put it louder or softer if you're a passenger.
Yeah, you know, again, if you start looking at the ergonomics of the car, again, I'm a firm favorite of a volume control button. So yes, she can now fiddle with it, or I can as well. But I prefer that. Everything's done on the steering wheel. So if I've got a control of it, you unfortunately have to now go into the screen and start fighting and battling on the screen, which is not the most comfortable thing to work on, especially when you're obviously driving in our country. What the car also has, is we're talking about the ergonomics in the screen, everything is done on the screen.
Yeah.
So there's tons and tons of warnings that's happening all the time, from lane assist to driving too close to drifting to tiredness to fatigue. So what's happening is, I don't know if it's a distraction, that when you're driving all the time you get a warning of something, so you start looking for that warning. And then you try and find out, what am I doing wrong and where do I switch it off?
And then it's going to probably going to start complaining that you're not looking on the road and
Yeah.
reset everything. And then,
So we don't know what the problem was.
We don't know what the problem was. But that's the thing about these vehicles, specific from China. They've got a lot of driver assistant programs and sensors and something. And I think at one point it is a little bit overkill.
Yeah, in my life, it's not my favorites. I'm not. Some of the stuff I like, I really do. You know, the adaptive cruise control type of scenario, that is great. That works for me. But lane assist fatigue. I mean, I don't think my GPS already tells me to stop for coffee.
Yeah.
So now you got another system in the car that well, fortunately can be switched off.
Okay, but still, you love this car.
I do. I really do. I have a nice soft spot for this car. I like the styling of it. I think maybe I shouldn't use the word Dodge Ramish.
Whoa! I think it's getting there. Huh?
No, I like it. I love a big car, so I'd be happy with the bigger the car, the bigger I'd be happy. So for me, I enjoyed it. There is that negative of having a big car in off-road situation, though, and we spoke about that earlier. Navigating through trees or through tight rocks, and that you got to really be sharp. Number one, the length of the car, and two, the width of the car. So you can't just drive through trees like this track that we have there, which we're used to. You got to be a lot more careful about navigating around a tree.
I'm feeling like you're trying to punch yourself now, so I'm going to do it for you, guys. If you buy one of these, speak to Tony. He'll definitely take you through the do's, the don'ts, the hows, and how not to. So Tony from Adventure Afrika Training and Tours. Are you happy now?
I'm happy. Thank you very
much. We'll put his number below. No, not really. Just go and look for him on Facebook. He's there.
It's all there.
But yeah, guys, I'm Hunter from Adventure Afrika, and Tony, thanks for being back here and helping me out. Tony from Adventure Afrika Training and Tours, guys. And please, if you like, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, Tony.
Cheerio.